This episode is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy to create a professional website, blog, portfolio, and online store. For a free trial and 10% off your first purchase on new accounts, just head on over to squarespace.com and use offer code GAMEBREAKER7. This episode is also brought to you by Shutterstock.com. With over 20 million high-quality stock photos, illustrations, vectors, and video clips, Shutterstock helps you take your creative projects to the next level. For 30% off your new account, go over to Shutterstock.com and use offer code GAMEBREAKER7.
GameBreaker TV.
Check. 1, 2. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Legendary. I'm Gary Gannon. Coming up on the show tonight, we've got a new class coming for 6.0, some crazy PvP items coming out of the Timeless Isle, and the Emerald Dream expansion we've all been waiting for has finally announced. Or has it? All that and more, but first, from WoW Insider Zaman right here on GameBreaker.tv, brought to you by the number 5 and the letter C for coffee. It's Olivia D. Grace. What's up, Liv?
It's all about the coffee this week. It's it's kind of a coffee week.
It is always a coffee week. How many cups
It's
you on?
always a coffee week when you stay up till I've had 5. Hence number 5.
Are you okay? Are you gonna make it through this show? Because I've never seen you like this.
Doesn't sound like it.
Crash hard. I'm gonna crash hard in about 20 minutes time. So let's get going.
All right, let's get going. Joining us again from the host of Convert to Raid and Beer Connoisseur, Mr. Pat Crane. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, man?
Is that a tiny beer?
No, it's not. It's a regular sized beer. It's not a giant sized beer.
It looked tiny for beer.
I have a couple
Okay.
of them, so it's okay.
All right. And returning from his week off, it's the tiny Corona man himself, fan of Starburst. What is that?
What is that?
I'm in the middle of drinking something. Hang on.
What do you
Air.
Air.
was really good.
Green air. All right, lots going on, and we've got to get the show going, or Olivia might just twitch the F out. I don't know what's happening. Actually, but first, before I even get into the show, I'm going to start the show with this. Mr. Mike Shafton started a brand new show right here on GameBreaker TV this week.
I did.
You guys haven't checked it out.
It's
It's called Waypoint. It's all about the World of Warcraft, so it's kind of relevant. Yeah, I'm going to play a little bit of it. Check it out.
This week's episode of Waypoint, Cash Shop Helmets, the Timeless Isles, Flex Item Levels, and Warcraft at Comic-Con. What's up, guys, and welcome to Waypoint, your World of Warcraft recap for July 23rd, 2013. I'm your host, Mike Shafton. Last week, Blizzard dropped a huge bomb when they released new cosmetic items to the in-game store. Now, these helmets are $15 each, which is a little expensive when you consider that the helmets kind of stick out like a sore thumb most of the time. However, that hasn't stopped a few individuals from creating some of the most amazing screenshots. But
He's bobbing and weaving. He's bobbing and weaving.
That's right.
I had someone with a red laser, but I thought it was a sniper. I had to keep moving or I was gonna get shot. Also, I need to clarify something. If you can pull that video back up. No, guys, I'm not really buff. I was just dumb and wore a green shirt.
This is the best story. Somebody commented about it. They put some funny title about it, where buying shirts being like emo and buying shirts too small for you, so you look a little bit more like ripped. But he gets to the office and he's about to shoot the show, and we built a green screen, and all of a sudden he looks down and he realizes that he's got this design on his shirt that's green, and he's like, "Oh my god, I can't do the show!" And we're like, and he's like, "What do we do? Do we turn it inside out?" I'm like, just turn it around. So he's wearing the shirt backwards. So really, that's why it looks tight.
The trick to looking really buff is just to wear shirts
Wear your
backwards.
shirt backwards.
Yep, there it is.
It's the
Good
new
tip.
crisscross move, you know, just wear the shirts backwards, not the pants.
The best was Shaft. It's like, really? And I was like, dude, nobody will notice that. There's no way. For like second comment on the video. Second, I was like, who's gonna notice that?
Because you're suddenly so buff.
It
Suddenly.
happened. I was nonstop when I was
overnight.
on vacation. I was just at the gym, just working out.
Yeah.
But man, getting awesome reviews on the show, man. Tons of great comments. So check it out. It's called Waypoint. It's on GameBreaker.tv. And every Tuesday. And I think you might see a League of Legends edition coming soon as well.
Ooh.
For them League fans. So keep an eye out. That league. All right, first up this week, we have more news about that most controversial of additions to the World of Warcraft. Yes, the in-game store. So this is data mined material. You got to take this with a grain of salt. But what was found over at MMOC is that there are these things called battle coins, which might be used in transactions in the shops. So we really don't know much about this, at all. This, apart from the name, and that they could initially, like we've talked about in the past, they could be associated with just the Korean and the Chinese markets. So according to MMOC's data mining. First up, I don't know. What do you guys, Liv? What do you think this is?
Well, I mean, it is like you say, it's right. We don't know a huge amount about it, but there are these strings that have been data mined. So basically strings of code within the client software, which are talking about these battle coins. And they're talking about them alongside what they're calling the test currency. I think the initial sort of estimation was, oh, this will be like something that they're using just to test the in-game store. But they've got a test currency in there. So it's not that it's just the test currency that's going in to try it out with. So like it could be, I'm guessing that it's going to be something along the lines of an in-game currency, that you use for those specific transactions rather than using dollars, euros. Like imagine in Europe, you've got like Sweden on krona, Denmark on krona, but they're different krona. You've got Norway, who I believe are also on a third different krona.
Yes.
You've got Estonia on a different krona again, which is the EEK. You've also got the euro, which is the most widely used currency, as well as the British pound. So over here, we've got a whole mess of different currencies, whereas you guys have got like a few different kinds of, I don't know, dollars, I guess, like Canadian dollars, American dollars, other dollars, perhaps. So maybe it's something along the lines of that, where they're trying to sort of make it simpler by selling, like you can go onto Battle.net and buy battle coins, and then use those in the stores or something along those lines. I'm not 100% sure, but that's my guess. That's my
Sounds pretty
estimation.
reasonable.
Yeah.
A universal.
Go ahead.
A universal currency, it just kind of works, especially for the reason that Olivia was stating, for the fact that you've got so much currency conversion and how many dollars is that? Instead, it's just like look at Riot, look at League of Legends. It's 1,300 Riot points. Well, you now know exactly how much that is, and you know how much when you log into the game, you can go to the store and figure out how much it costs to buy that much without having to try and convert multiple currencies. So I think that makes sense. But Olivia, with this implementation, I know we talked about this before. I think 2 or 3 shows ago. Do you think that since they're going this route of possibly making a normalized currency, that it maybe means there's a way that they'll make it so that we can earn it in the game?
Yeah, that's the big question. That's the sort of thing that I think everyone's kind of excited about. Like, because this has come up. Because it's come up, people are sort of going, could we earn this in the game? Could we? And I mean, it's kind of nonsensical if you take it as purely the aspect of it's for the Asian markets, because if it is that, then it's specifically so they can avoid having to grind. But maybe they're doing that for the Asian markets, and then they're going to do this where you can actually, imagine if you could buy it with gold. Gary says no. I'd be really, I have to say, it doesn't seem that likely to me that that's the case. It just, they've got a sort of money pit there, and people are going to spend money on it. I mean, people are going to complain bitterly about it for ages, don't get me wrong, but people are still going to spend money on it. I mean, I know that I would spend money on the XP Elixir.
I mean, most games that have an in-game currency like this, though, they don't have systems in place to earn them in-game. I mean, most of them have a specific currency just for this particular
but
thing.
then, like, they have, like, you've got like the RP/IP in League. Like, you've got, like, you can buy things with 2 different currencies. You've got the RP option where obviously you've got to go and buy it from the RP store, or you've got the IP which you earn in game, and like they work in tandem.
Yeah.
There are so many there are so many damn currencies in this game. It's confusing.
Oh my God.
I mean, there are so many currencies. This is, I think that this can only be one thing, and that is real money currency, especially for use for those experience flasks that were data mined as well for the Asian market. I mean, that's the perfect thing, because that's something you can buy in game as you need it, but use a currency that you can buy outside a game for those Asian markets. And I think that that's the perfect use of something like that.
I mean, that's the. I guess a way to rephrase it would be, instead of saying like, could you see them implementing a way to accumulate this currency in game? I'd say no, but will they sell the items in the store for the possibility of 2 different types of currencies? So, for example, in Firefall right now, you can buy it with red beans, which is their real dollar, currency, or like you said, like Riot, same thing. Or you could, I forget what the points are, but the battle frame points or something. So it's like, would they do something like that? I don't know what currency they would use though currently in the system. And oh my God, please don't put another currency in. And we're talking about another currency later in the show, for Christ's sake. There's another one coming. Wait till later in the show. It's like, what are you guys doing? I can't keep track of this.
It's insane. No.
There's more currencies than the entire globe uses right now, just in World of Warcraft.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I mean, if it's
crazy.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Gary.
I was gonna say, if it's directed at the Asian market, I mean, where they don't want to grind, it seems like weird to add a currency that can be accumulated by grinding. So I think that would kind of like make that, kind of really like kind of a weird way to do it. So I say it's only going to be accumulated by actual real money transactions. That's it.
Yeah, and it's like, I hope that they do that. I hope they don't do that thing which some games do. And it is Blizzard. They're not evil. They're not actually the axis of evil. So I'm sure they won't. But like,
I don't know, man. Dem hats. I'll bring back dem hats.
Right.
I still have residual hat rage left over from last week. I still have hat rage. I still had the hat I bought on the transmog on my shaman. Went into a random heroic dungeon.
Get kicked out of any groups?
Was like, no, I didn't get kicked out because I'm quite good at healing. But the people were like, "Did you actually pay money for that hat?" I was like, "Yeah."
No, I got it for free.
Yeah, I wish. No. They were like, "Did you actually pay money for that hat?" I was like, "Yeah, I paid money for that hat." They're like, "Wow, why would you do that?" Do you know people who pay money for those hats are like undermining the game economy and encouraging Blizzard to charge stupid money for things? There's still so much hat rage flying around Europe. I don't know.
You're going to have to put that hat away for a while. Just like keep it like it's brandy new, put it in the back drawer, wait like a year or two, and like pull that thing back out when everybody kind of forgets.
About it.
It's kind of like the original Sparkle Pony flying mount. First off, when that came out, I was like, oh, why would you buy that? And now I see someone flying around, and I'm like, whatever, I got bigger things to be mad about.
I got a heart of the aspects myself, so yeah, whatever. A big amount to be mad about, like literally a big amount to be angry about. But yeah, I think there's still quite a lot of hat rage floating around, and the thing is with the grinding side of things is like if there's a currency that could be ground out in game to actually use on the store, I think that would just completely dissolve most of the rage. Like if there was that would just bring in a way to get the stuff from the store, and people. Like, if you don't want to grind it out, then it becomes just a time versus money thing. So, if you've got the time, then you can grind it out. And if you've got the money, then you can just buy it. So it's sort of either or, really. Or even if you could just buy it with gold. Like, you just go into like the black market auction house and buy battle coins with gold. Like, can you see that happening?
They could definitely sort of fix the economy. Right. Kind of work on that aspect of it.
And then could you buy these coins for gold from other players and then have that be transferable, and then you have a gold market in-game? Wouldn't that be amazing?
And then you could pay for your game time with your in-game gold.
There you go.
Yeah, and then it would, you could do gold selling. You could buy battle coins, and they could dissolve gold. Like, they could actually genuinely. They could kill.
Now I just feel bad for even bringing it up. I feel like this is spiraling out of control.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it. Spiral.
What do you guys think of this? I mean, do you think that there's a possibility that this new currency could be translated and used over in other games, like let's say Hearthstone? Like, you think it'd be like a universal currency that goes beyond World of Warcraft?
That would be a really cool idea, actually. I mean, if you could buy like decks for these for this new currency and be like, hey, yeah, I'm just gonna buy it with a few ducats off of here. That would be really cool, actually. I think that would be a good way to do it. I don't know how feasible it is or if they're planning on doing it, but it'd be fine for me.
We could. It's got a potential just with the fact that obviously they're trying to make this new launcher that all of the games live inside. So that's kind of a way that maybe the universal currency could cross that bridge of being multiple games.
That's a good point. Actually, maybe there could even be some kind of currency section within that launcher. Like, there's definitely scope for more stuff to go in there, and then they could use that to sort of move the currency around between games. They've always been talking with Hearthstone about all the prices in dollars, though. So I don't know. But then it's going to be, like, there's always problems, particularly over here, where people see the dollar price as something. Because we pay less for our subscriptions here. Our subscriptions are slightly cheaper, but the items are all slightly more expensive. So, like, when you guys pay out $25 for a mount, I think. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
20 euros. And 20 euros is not 25. It's more. It's not much more here, but it translates to slightly more. So we get finicky about that. Now, they could totally remove that by just selling the points, and then that was the thing I was talking about earlier with them not being the axis of evil. I really hope they don't do that thing where you can buy 100 points and everything costs, like, you could buy in increments of 100 points and everything costs 150.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say everybody will complain about that. It's like, yeah, you buy like 10 and they price everything at like, where you always have like 3 coins left, and you're like, damn, I need to buy another 10.
Yeah,
There's been companies.
Got to keep that money coming into the old bank, right? You do it that way.
I mean, I think for them to go, it's the monopoly money mentality, right? Like, if to go to a virtual, an online store where you're selling stuff for real money, you have to go to a virtual currency. It'd be crazy to stay in real world dollars because it's too real. Like, I don't want to go to a in-game virtual world cash shop and see like this costs $25 necessarily. Like, I want to see it cost 10 coins, like 10 ducats according to the new currency that Pat just came up with.
Right. Do you know of any other games that use actual dollar signs? I mean, actual dollars for selling stuff in store, in game?
The games I can think of that translate to real money, like, don't even use it. Like, Project Entropia has PED, but you can buy in and sell out that stuff, but they switch it over to their currency. Yeah. I can't think of any that are literally like, hey, this costs you $2 and you just pay $2. Like, it's always been in virtual currency.
Yeah. Right. I'm trying to think. I mean, I'm trying to even think through mobile games now, and I can't.
It's monopoly money, right? It's like once you change them over and they're sitting in your account and they're just like some weird coin name or whatever. Who cares? You're just like 100 of them, whatever.
And then you'll use them all, and then you'll need more. So
and you can't quantify it. You can't translate that.
That's why they do it.
PlayStation doesn't have like Xbox points. PlayStation's real currency.
No, PlayStation has a PlayStation. I'm sure the only reason I think this is because I put credit on my PlayStation account a little while ago to buy the Borderlands 2 DLC for my PlayStation version of Borderlands 2. And I'm pretty sure I had to put money into my account.
Let's find out.
Then maybe, there we go. Let's find out. I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100% sure. It's like they have a, like it's a one, I don't know, it's like a one-to-one thing, but they have a conversion, and I think they have their own currency. I bought a lot of the Borderlands DLC lately, so I'm not 100% certain that that's accurate.
Yeah, PS3 I think is just cash. It'd probably be easier, Chef, than just ask chat room. It's a live show.
Chat room's gonna
9,000 menus.
My PlayStation's internet comes up.
They're answered before I can even move on. So okay, moving on, and there's been a few very interesting interviews this week with some interesting stuff in them. So first up, there was an interview with lead systems designer. Yes, Mr. Greg Ghostcrawler Booyakasha Street. That was over at the Chinese gaming site QQIN, which is that the same site that I think that is that's the same site that's Tencent site, right? That hosts QQ, the chat client, correct? Yeah. So it's very, very, very huge website, like insanely big. So now this was translated. This was 100% in Chinese. We've translated using the amazing Babelfish, I think, if anybody remembers what that is.
It's amazing. Like
it's
every other word.
Every other
word.
There's a couple of different translations over different sites, and also Google Translate that have all said roughly the same thing. So while we have not independently verified with a certified translator, we're relatively confident that this is accurate. Let's put it that way.
So, he talked to Tencent about possibly breaking the tank healer DPS trinity and going for another type of class at some point. And what they're talking about is, get this, a buff class.
Where's the gopher? Where's the gopher?
Oh, you want the gopher?
Obviously, we want the gopher. Come on.
I was just grimacing because I'm like, a buff class? I mean, what do you guys think this would actually entail? It's, I don't know, just literally a class that hands out buffs? I mean, it sounds kind of lame.
It's the Bard class that they announced back in 2008 for the April Fool's Day thing. Bard class is coming into the game. Look out, because
we're the pandas and April Fools as well.
Yeah, exactly. Everything that's April Fools is actually coming into the game now, so we're good. We're good there. And he wields a two-handed axe guitar.
Get out.
That was part of the deal. That was part of the April Fool's thing. Yeah, I'll leave.
Casting tiny skittles onto Mike Shaffnet with a very out of tune guitar. I'm playing my Bard class, but I'm out of tune, so it probably is a debuff.
And this is all I got. I don't have Starburst or Skittles. I'm sorry to disappoint. No Lucky Charms. Just a Hershey's bar.
Oh, my Lucky Charms. I don't know. Do you think it's gonna be like is it literally just gonna be a class that hands out buffs? I mean, I guess you could say like paladins and warlocks were kind of buff based at one point. I mean, you got even the totems on shamans.
I mean, that's what's a little difficult is it's not shocking for them to say we're going to break the Trinity by adding in a buff class, because back in even there was even a little bit of a shift in Burning Crusade. It was more just in vanilla that the buff class existed, and you would bring a paladin to a raid for their buffs, and you would bring a shaman for their totems, and it's not out of the norm. It's kind of surprising considering they've done such a very good job of burying the concept of only bringing someone for the buffs that they offer. That's kind of why they gave buffs that one class had to every other class. So now they're basically going back and saying, one class, you better only make a 9-person raid, because you better hope that 10th person is going to be your buff class. Or it's interesting. It's just kind of interesting to see where they're going with this, and where they would end up lying in the raid lineup.
Well, and it seems kind of weird too, because with class balance, I mean, it seems like a lot of the ways that they were class balancing in the end of Cataclysm and throughout Mists of Pandaria was that they wanted to get away from strict roles, almost. Like, it became where disc priests were doing smite a lot more, and you had certain classes that were doing damaging moves in order to perform their heals better. And I don't have any specific examples right now in my head. I'm just kind of playing. But I remember that kind of being the mindset at the beginning of Mist. So it seems kind of like a weird position to be in now, where they say, "Oh yeah, we're going to go with a buff class."
What if this with a buff class? What if they were to structure it with a thing, kind of thinking how a buff class would work in the game in a raid? What if it would be 3 specs: a tank, healer, and a DPS spec? And again, this doesn't solve the problem that I just brought up, but just kind of trying to think about how this might play out. Tank, healer, and DPS, and based on your rotation, you're supplying buffs for that, like that buff. Like if you're a DPS, you're supplying buffs that buff the DPS. you're tanking, you're supplying survival buffs, and if you're healing, you're supplying healer buffs by going through your rotation. Do you guys think that maybe you'll still be a healer, tank, or DPS, but your utility that you're bringing is specifically buffs for the whole raid?
It doesn't make much sense to me, because I mean they've simplified the whole buff process as well, and so I mean it seems like all of that doesn't make sense in my head right now as far as where they're planning on going with, if it is strictly a buff class, or if you're saying, oh, now we're going to be paying more attention to buffs, when they simplified the system so that everybody could kind of supply buffs to the raid in general and make more classes supply the same types of buffs. It seems like all right.
You think people would be looking for a bard class? Were bards ever really that popular? I know people who used to play bards in like older MMOs that had them and they loved them, but like I feel like there were very few of them, but they loved the class. I don't know. People really looking for a bard class in World of Warcraft? I don't know. I love playing guitar. It seems lame.
Yeah, I agree. But then I suppose like you could say the same thing about a healing class. I suppose. Like I know we all like everyone here plays. I know everyone here plays a healer, or maybe not. Like maybe not you, Gary, but we've all played.
I hate playing healers. Yeah, I never play a healer. I just grief.
But I play a healer in WoW, and I now every other game I play, I like I've just started playing Smite. I like playing a little bit of League, and I'm just like I don't want to be support. I don't want to be support. I want to be anything that isn't support. And like I see this sort of like I don't see it so much as a buff class as in like a shaman used to be with all the totems. So you'd have you didn't need to drop this totem if you had a paladin, and you didn't need to drop this totem if you had this class. You didn't need to drop that one if you had that. Like you were filling in the gaps with the literal raid buffs. But I was thinking of this. I guess the way I looked at this was more like a support class in League, where you pop this thing that helps everyone else do their stuff. Like you pop a buff up that has a ranged plus attack power for everyone in this circular area. That sort of thing, rather than like a class who's like, oh hey, I got Mark of the Wild down. Don't you worry, Druid. I didn't have to push that button. Like that sort of thing. And like that might be quite cool, but I think it would be really weird. It would have to have like to fit into World of Warcraft. It would have to have like a DPS spec and a buff spec or something along those lines. Like it doesn't. How would you even level such a class? Like what would the actual practicality of such a class be if it was genuinely just a support class? Like
gotta learn them songs.
You could just have like Gary sing to the mobs, and they would just pass out, and they would just keel over.
It would just be bizarre. It's just like I can see how it would fit into raiding, and I can see how it would fit into PvP. But what I can't see is how it would fit into the entire remainder of the game, with the exception of pet battles.
Like 5-mans, how would you do that?
Well, exactly. How would you bring that person to 5-mans? How would you do daily quests? I mean, obviously, you just like play some songs at them until they wilt or something.
But that's where I'm saying, you bring up League and how they've integrated in those classes, and the two, supports that come to my mind first are Soraka, who's mostly looked at as being a healer, and her buffs and whatnot come from healing, but that's her main role, is to be a healer. So that's like the spec is to be a healer, and you're supplying the buffs. Or say like Leona, and her job is basically to run around and basically stun things to death, and that's really all she does. But she's more of a tank. So again, like they're like, even though they're a buff class or a support class that bring utility, they're still fitting into that meta of tank, healer, DPS.
Yeah, but then is that just because that's how people file them, because that's how we're used to approaching games? Like they aren't a healer. I mean, like I don't know. I have not played any of either of those two champions particularly, but I'm just trying to like thinking about other support stuff. Like they're not just a healer; they're more than a healer. They're like a support. I always want to say Feck, but it's not. Oh God, the guy with the chain. What's his name? The green undead dude who floats around, has the chain. Thresh.
No.
Anyhow, that guy. But he's more than just. He's a support class, but he's not a healer. He's sort of a DPS-y support class. And he does have a heal. It's hard. It's Thresh. Thank you, Terry. And like it's hard to put him into that category, but we do it anyway because that's how we're trained to think about games. We're trained to approach them from that angle, and like that's why we do that. Like they are a different group, but I don't know. I can't see how it fits into World of Warcraft. How would it even work? I don't think it would.
Right. When it doesn't fit,
maybe it'll start at level 90. Maybe
I mean, what
it'll start
do you guys think? Do you guys think this is like a
Hero class.
do you think this is a mistranslation and communication, actual breakdown, that this is a completely just not the right?
They've tweeted already today about a different interview, which we will get to later in the show, where there was a mistranslation.
That, right?
The interview, yeah, they corrected it on Twitter. Ghost Crawler tweeted on Twitter saying, "Sorry, this is a correction."
But this they said nothing about.
They've not commented on this one, and this one has been out for longer than the one they corrected.
All right, that's it. Bards are in.
Draw your own conclusions.
Bards it is.
Bards it is.
Tune up.
Exactly. What a bardcraft all of a sudden. And maybe there'll be a hero class that'll start at max level, and all my leveling related concerns are nonsense.
Well, and when they actually did this for the April Fool's Day release, they actually announced it as the second hero class. So maybe it is a hero class. And it can also vanquish evil with the power of rock. So look out.
Now suddenly the band avatars in that appear in World of Warcraft now
make a lot more sense. There you go.
Yeah.
Makes total
This is
sense.
like, we should have tinfoil hats for this. Like, what are we doing? Talking about this stuff without tinfoil hats.
How come those went away?
Honestly.
Yeah, we got to bring those back. Those haven't come out in a long time.
Yeah.
Like
Gotta
being
make
Joshua and all the tinfoil left with them. We got to bring those back out. All right, I want to talk a bit about those interviews with Booyaka Shah, Greg, Ghostcrawler, G Street, King of the Beat, future expansions.
King of the Beat. I like that one.
Beat Street, the King of the Beat. How did that song go? Come on, somebody knows. You guys know what I'm talking about? You guys have no idea what I'm talking about? Really?
No.
Oh, hang on.
I'm sure you'll find it.
Hey, it's just a matter of time before he finds it.
Mm-hmm.
Some chat room seems to know.
Let's see. Where's the theme music? Maybe this is it. Let's see. Probably get flagged on YouTube for this.
Sure, your cat.
Oh, I got an ad.
Oh, hey, look, it's an ad.
Oh,
It's a
of course,
cat.
It's an ad. It's an ad.
It's a cat.
Oh, look at that. It's a cat.
It's a cat.
Oh my God.
Pet nutritionists.
Oh,
It's
God.
natural
Oh,
ingredients are
kitty.
guaranteed to be
And I can't even
balanced
skip it.
so that everyone
Oh,
has
disappointing.
best health.
A full 30-second ad. What?
Totally won't be
the
worth
That's
it.
the worst
Not
kind.
even the 15? What?
Here we go. The train. Okay.
Probably not even the right clip. I have no idea. G Street Breakdown.
There you go.
This is G Street's music.
now we need this every
This is
time.
the theme tune. This is
Every time we
the
go,
G
every
Street
time we
theme
go,
tune.
every time we go into a question that he answered, we gotta have that G Street Breakdown queued up.
There we go.
G Street. All right. See, that was totally.
I love that.
worth it.
Somebody in chat just said, "Where can I get the 8-track?" That's awesome.
Love the 8-track. All right, I want to talk about this G Street interview. First up, I'm going to tell you guys about Shutterstock. So glad to have Shutterstock supporting Legendary and GameBreaker.tv. Want to save you guys 30% off on your account? All you got to do is go over to Shutterstock.com and make a new account and use the offer code GameBreaker7. I've been seeing lots of tweets this week from not G Street, but people across the beat. People actually tweeting me about how they've jumped on Shutterstock and loving it. Somebody today just tweeted. I should have saved it. It was a really good one. They were just like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it. I finally checked it out. I signed up, and I'm so glad I did." Check it out. If you guys have a video project or a website, if you guys are designing a website, this is the place to go. If you guys have a video project, this is the place to go. If you guys need stock photography, footage, lower thirds, graphics, icons, all kinds of digital artwork, illustrations, vectors, videos, whatever you need. We don't look at the videos too much. Let's look at the videos. What should we look up? I kind of want to look up. I was looking for flames today because I was actually looking at doing something with a logo, and I kind of want to do something with flames. So check this out. So usually a lot of stuff like this will come with alpha channels, which I think Mike Shafton has talked about some other shows. Alpha channels, so you could lay this stuff over other footage and stuff. But check out all this stuff.
Actually, go 2 right and 1 up.
2 right and 1 up. This one.
1 to the right.
1 to the right. This one.
That one, actually, I think back when I was working on Epic Chef, we used that one.
Oh, Epic Chef. The Epic Mealtime people, Epic Chef.
Yeah. So see, I mean, it goes down the line of you know, the endless possibilities of what you can use on Shutterstock.
Well, this is how you get all this stuff. People wonder like how you come up with all this stuff. You add, and this is the thing, right? So the YouTube market, especially, is getting super tough to like, you know, make cool videos, and like everybody's like ramping up their for production quality and what they're doing in their videos. And this is a perfect way that you guys can go over and find different stuff and assets and things like that to add to your YouTube videos and just kind of spruce them up, make them fun. And you know, if you need what is it? Skull flame? What is this?
It's Zarheim. It's Zarheim!
It's Zarheim! But wait a minute, but seriously, how cool is that? If you want like a badass intro for your YouTube channel and you want something that's like cool and flaming, I mean, that's pretty sick. I know I'm
gonna
probably
send that to him.
You know, and the other thing that's about it, you get a lot of people who make graphics for their YouTube channel, and a lot of them just go right over to Video Copilot and copy Andrew Kramer's tutorials like verbatim. That's all they do is, and then they maybe change it to say World of Warcraft because he has great tutorials, but that's just because that's all people know. Shutterstock offers, you know, graphics to the level of what he's trying to teach you, and people haven't seen those before. So maybe if you're trying to make World of Warcraft videos, don't use Video Copilot, use some stuff from Shutterstock.
I like trains. I like train footage. Trains are pretty cool. Oh, that's a pretty cool. That's like a bullet train right there. Nice. Check it on out. I want to save you guys 30%. Just got to go over to Shutterstock.com, make a new account, sign up, and use the offer code GAMEBREAKER7. You will save 30% off. Get to sprucing up your website. Get to making your YouTube videos look awesome. Go check it out today at Shutterstock.com. Promo code GAMEBREAKER7. All right. So, moving on to the next interview with Greg. G Street. This one is from gaming site 2p.com, another Chinese gaming site. Talking about future expansions in this one. So there was a bit of a mistranslation in this article, which kind of led to imply that there was going to be the Emerald Dream expansion coming with playable Naga. And yes, I said that was a mistranslation. I know everybody is sad and weepy right now because I know that's what a lot of people were hoping. Don't get your hopes up. So he already tweeted, G Street already tweeted saying that was not the case. That is a mistranslation. But he does talk about how Mists of Pandaria was kind of a break and future expansions would see a return to Azeroth. So it's an interesting. He also talks about the Mogu, the Old Gods, and the Titans getting their stories tied up at the end of the expansion. So what can we take first? Before I even ask, is everybody? How disappointed are you? Who's disappointed? Anybody disappointed? Were you guys hoping for an Emerald Dream with playable Naga?
I'm gonna just come out and say I don't think I'm not saying Emerald Dream is going to be the next expansion. We have the whole Hour of Twilight speculation that it's going to be about the Burning Legion. But I think more so what I look at here is that he's putting down the fact that Naga are going to be the playable race. Emerald Dream expansion does sound feasible, if not, this next expansion coming up at some point. So I think we'll still see that. I'm not necessarily disappointed that we're just not going to see it right now. I more think having Naga as a playable race is more the outlandish, crazy, ridiculous part of that statement.
Really? The funny thing in the article that really made me laugh is that I think maybe he did say this. Maybe he said this in response to another question about why he was talking about one of the many, many, many manifold reasons why Naga can't be a playable. I always want to say Naga for them because I don't know. This is a Razer Naga mouse to me.
I need one of those. I need a playable. I need a playable Naga mouse.
Race, yeah, they're a mouse, but he said that because they don't have feet. That's the main thing that's standing in their way. Is that Naga, the race, and the mouse as well don't have feet. They don't have feet. The biggest deal is the lack of feet. That's the main concern here. Not how they managed to suddenly become persuaded to join one faction or the other, or maybe even both. It's the lack of feet.
Lack of feet.
That's the real crux of the problem.
I mean, they did. You gotta consider the fact they did make goblins work, and I'm not saying that
goblins have feet.
I'm not saying that I support Naga being in the game, but I think that just because
Oh, what really? What the heck is that in the middle? Oh my
Happy
god!
feet.
Like disembodied feet. That's the worst.
Those are goblin feet. There you go. That's what they are. Well, the Nagi thing is kind of, I don't know. I just kind of think of that as kind of like a fun little thing. The other playable race that people want is the ogre. I mean, they had some issues with.
They have feet. They have feet.
They have feet. They said that they were having some issues thinking about a female version of the ogre because there isn't one in game. But I don't think that's such a big deal to me. Just give them a ponytail. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Done. Job's a good one.
Right. Exactly.
But I think, I don't know, to me the Emerald Dream thing has just become a bit of a joke now. It's just like, yeah, we'll get it eventually, whatever. And like, it's not good. I don't know. Maybe it will happen at some point, but it's just become like the sort of, like the default thing. Like it's become like the dance studio.
Right.
Like when people start getting excited about the next expansion, everyone's always like, oh, is it going to be Emerald Dream? Yes, it is. And the dance studio is coming in.
Right.
Also pandas.
And a bard.
So he did, like I said, he did not have a correction to make about the next expansion coming back to Azeroth. So though he did not correct any of that. So
No.
I don't know. Do you think this leans towards it being a Burning Legion expansion, like everyone's kind of been expecting?
we did always see that, at BlizzCon they talked about, and even when it first started, when news started coming out about Mist of Pandaria, and everybody was like, wait, there's no end boss? I don't get it. This is happy-go-lucky Pandaland, and where's my epic Arthas to go kill? Like, that was epic and amazing. Give me those champions to triumph over. And I think that, they always said that they were going to get back to it. And I think we always talked about how the fact that there's only so much established lore that they have to pull from to create these big, monstrous, villains for us to go up against. And I kind of looked at what they were doing with Mist of Pandaria as them trying to give them an opportunity to spread and sow seeds for making new villains so that the game can continue on. Now that we'll get back to a big villain, hopefully. I'm not saying that's confirmed, but hopefully we'll get back to this big overarching villain that we need to go kind of tackle and kind of bring back a little bit of that, umph that a lot of people liked in expansions like Wrath of the Lich King.
Yeah, that wasn't in. Like, we had we talked about this, like the big bad thing, like the absence of the big bad. And I've really missed it. I felt all the way through Mr. Pandaria that, oh my god, stop it. Seriously. I'm going to kick you in the shins in California. I really hate feet.
Oh, she hates feet. Look out.
What is that? What is that? What is that?
It's a broken toe.
What is that? What is that? What is
not
that?
relevant to my interest.
That's horrible. That's horrible.
But what was I saying even? Yeah, like the absence. This expansion felt really pastoral and very sort of serene, and like you had the Thunder King, and it was just kind of like, oh, there's a big naughty man on this naughty island. He's doing naughty things over there. We should stop him. And then we went over there. And we stopped him, and then we came back, and everything was lovely, still lovely. And it gets a little bit like, I don't want to sort of spoiler all over the place, but it gets a little bit less lovely come 5.4, and that's the sort of storyline between the opening of the raid. And I'm not going to sort of go into a huge detail because spoilers. But yeah, it does get a little bit less lovely, but it's still like most of Pandaria stays exactly the same, and it's not dark enough for me. I like a little bit more darkness, a little bit more sort of looming problem.
You want the
Wrath.
epic growing
burning. Yeah, I want Wrath.
The epic growing threat.
Yes.
So and just make sure that it's always like, the nice thing about like the whole Arthas thing was that he was always around. Like during the entire expansion, he would pop up in different places, and you go, "Oh wow, that guy is really not nice."
Some people would say he didn't feel as present as what they did with Deathwing, but a lot of people didn't look at Deathwing as being as integral to the patch. And it's just I don't know. It's just it was I kind of got the opposite approach. It was like he was always there, but he never really affected. You never saw him as much as you did with, say, Deathwing.
There was always sort of.
There was the Drakari instance where he was in at the end of that one, and then they built those 3 Lich King dungeons at the end of the expansion to build up for the raid. So, I mean, it became more and more of a threat, and you had to go do those dungeons before you went into the raid because of loot. So you had to go follow that story and kind of get into the story of the raid even more. And then, you come to the final fight, and that was just so epic and so full of lore and so full of different things that, I mean, it became just kind of this amazing fight. And so I think that they did a good job of building it through the expansion, maybe not necessarily paying so much attention to it at first, but it was kind of like always like in the back of their mind. In this one, it seems to be kind of a little misjointed with some different items that are there, some different bads that are kind of happening. And hopefully we'll see it all kind of come to fruition for 5.4 with some of the lore going around it, and I think that we will. So I'm looking forward to that.
I mean, he kind of says, like Gary was saying, he kind of says in the interview about the Mogu, the Old Gods, and the Titans all getting the story sort of tied up together, and we'll see how all that came about. But yeah, it's just like I'm excited for something. And Missy was just saying in chat that they'd always said that Pandaria would be a bit of a break, and then they come back something darker.
The calm before the storm.
But they kind of said, like, I kind of got the feeling that whilst it would start off very light and simple and airy, it would get darker. And I just don't feel like that's happened. Like, you've got this sort of Garrosh is just like this cartoon villain. Like, he's just, even that's what he seems like to me. Like, whereas, like, the Lich King was a much more sort of believable, complex character to me. And maybe that's because the lore was shoved down your throat more by the dungeons and things. And Deathwing was just like this dragon. It's like, lol, dragon, all of a sudden. Out of whatever it was, like Deep Home, wherever he was hanging out.
This could be just because I liked a lot of the mechanics that were in World of War, and it meant a lot to me. It was when I was probably raiding the most in my life. But I think even for me, and I know the old gods existed long before, and Yogg-Saron existed, but I didn't really know who Yogg-Saron was at the time when they announced Ulduar, and killing him was one of the most exciting experiences because it really felt powerful, and you had your guardians there, and you could essentially go fight a god with or without help, and I don't know, I felt more for Yogg-Saron and knew little about him than I do for, say, Garrosh this whole entire time. So I don't know. I think I'm excited, as it sounds you guys are, to get back on track of these big, monumental, scary bad guys. Yeah, definitely. I've just felt like the whole thing. I felt like the Pandaria thing has been, for me personally, with my personal taste and how I personally like my World of Warcraft, it's been a bit of a disappointment.
What was that thing that was data mined a few weeks ago or a month or two ago? The Iron Horde thing that came up?
Yeah, that was a funny one because it was such a sort of, either it's something like, whoa, what? Or it's something, or it was nothing. It's one of the two. It was basically, it was this folder. I don't know how, you understand how you get these MPQ compressed archives, which have stuff in them in a file structure. So we're on expansion number 4 now, even though it's patch 5 point blah, because expansion number 1 was the first expansion. So you start from 0 and you count up. And this folder was called expansion 05. And then the subfolder of that was Iron Horde. And then in that folder was a texture that was grey and could have been Horde Iron. So but it was either something, like I say, it's either something huge, as in they accidentally hinted at something that will be going on in the next expansion with the Iron Horde or something, or it's a texture for iron, as in the metal in the Horde encampment or something.
Which is what it looks like. I mean, to be honest, I mean, it really does look like iron. It doesn't look like something else. It doesn't look too mysterious to me anyway.
So you don't think there's any weight to it, Pat?
The texture itself is nothing exciting at all.
Right.
The texture itself is nothing. But it's just the folders. The name of the folders. Could that be a thing? Like there could be a schism in the horde occurring because Garrosh or something.
That'd be
You know.
cool. That'd be really cool. But yeah, Iron Horde. No, I think it's just Iron for the Horde.
You're going okay. You're going
Thanks.
down that
That's it.
route.
Thanks for
That's it.
shattering our dreams, Pat Crane.
Well, okay, you remember this day, Pat Crane, when the next expansion is patch 6.0, the Iron Horde.
The
You
Iron
remember
Horde.
This day.
There it
You
is.
remember.
I will eat my hat. Wait, I'm not
Okay,
wearing a hat.
cool. Oh, I see. I'm sure you own a hat.
That's right. No,
I'm
I
sure
don't.
he doesn't.
I
I'm
own
sure
no
he doesn't.
hats.
He owns
Not
no
anymore.
hats. The man
Not
owns
anymore.
no hats. He doesn't want to get kicked out of any groups. All right,
Big
last
pile of hats.
up.
I didn't pay
What?
$15 for a hat. I didn't do it.
Oh!
Last up this week, we've got some weird things coming out of the Timeless Isle. If you guys remember last week, we spoke about the structure of the Isle and how it really doesn't have any quests, and you could get all kinds of items from it. Well, we weren't joking about the items. So the latest build, which hit PTR just yesterday, has added something really crazy, and yes, another freaking currency called bloody coins. I don't even know whether I should play the whole link of files here or not, but I'm gonna hold back this time around and just see what this. But check this out. So the item is called a Censer of Eternal Agony. It's a bind on pickup item that makes you hostile to everyone. Yes, every other player. It takes away 90% of your maximum health to do it. And while you're under its influence, you earn this new bloody coin currency for every kill. And that's the currency. With the currency so far, it looks like you can buy so far a mount, a pet, and several items specifically for PvP in the Isle, and a pretty strong PvP trinket. So how is this going to work exactly? So you'll be running around trying to kill people. You pick it up, knock you down 90%. You got 10% of your health, and then basically you got to go around and try and like kill other players with only 10% of your health.
Yep.
This is going to be a rogue's favorite thing because they don't care.
I don't think that's how it's going to work. I think that it's poorly worded and it's going to drop you down to 10% health so that you can't just be like, I'm in a raid, pop, kill everybody.
Right.
I think it's going to then, I think when you use it, it's going, I don't know this. This is just how I think it's going to work because it makes sense to me. It's going to take away 90% of your health, but then you can either regen it or heal yourself back up to 100% health, which would be your original health. However, I read the tooltip earlier, and it does specifically say 90% of your maximum health, which rather implies that if you have 500,000 maximum health, you're going to go down to 100,000. I can't do math. 50,000 health. But then it would be so incredibly, yes, that's me. It would be so incredibly hard to kill people because they just turn around and one-shot you. So I personally think it's going to take away 90% of your health and you can heal yourself back up, but the tooltip implies differently. I just don't quite see how you'd kill people with only 10% of your health left.
It'd be tough, but I mean, you're also doing it in secret or when everybody else is fighting Ordos, right? So that's when this thing can be used, is when you're fighting Ordos.
That.
But it does say something about Ordos in the tooltip, if I'm right, or not the tooltip.
Yeah, it talks about the tooltip of the buff mentions Ordos, the flavor text, and the tooltip of the buff says something like the eternal fires of Ordos, hunger for something.
So,
but it doesn't specifically say it can only be used in a timeless isle. But it doesn't specifically say anything about Ordos's like his little house there.
Well, so that is where I would use it
anywhere. Yeah, I mean, I would use it. I would use it on people who are killing rares and not doing very well.
Right.
It becomes a really it becomes a really fun ganking tool. Obviously, I don't know where it lands with the 90% health if you can heal back up or if you stay down there, because I agree with Olivia on both those things. You can't really gank someone with 10% if they're good, and if not, you're just going to basically be trying to just quickly grab a quick kill when someone's doing poorly. But I think what's really cool about this item is that it kind of, I don't understand the 90% thing at all, but it kind of reimagines the Ring of Blood, I think, down in Stranglethorn. I think that's what it's called. And that was really fun. A lot of people liked that, not even just for the currency that you would get. You know, some people did find that the Arena Master Trinket was worth the prestige of saying, look, you know, I had to collect 10 of these, I had to fight everyone off. And that was honestly something that I think a lot of people really liked. And this is a way, I think, for them to artificially buff world PvP, because you're breaking down the barrier of Horde and Alliance for the select few who choose to do so. And as well as you can finally kill your faction member when they steal something from you. So it's perfect.
Yeah, that's a good
I can finally get back at it.
because there's so many things, like there's so many chests there that are just kind of out in the wild, and you can pop this item, like because you remain flagged. Like it's not like I don't know whether there's a time limit on it. I don't know whether it lasts until you die. I do know it costs 2,500 of the timeless coin currency, because I was thinking, I wonder if I'm going to have time to actually grind one of these out before the show starts. So I'll actually know how it works. Answer no. But it was like I don't know how long it lasts, so you could literally like spend the whole day there just murdering people potentially.
Do we know if there's do we know anything, if there's any other way to possibly earn these bloody coins any other way? Or is this the only?
As far as there's nothing that's been found yet, and like the guy who sells the bloody coin stuff, who's sort of like, if you go round to the sort of northeastern corner of the island, he's kind of there looking out to sea with all the flamey dudes. Everyone's flamey. That wasn't very specific. But he sells this item for timeless coins, which is the currency that you get from doing everything else on the island. And he sells this item for that, and then he sells everything else for the bloody coins, which to me kind of implies, although it's not like a done deal, that this is going to be the only way that you can earn them. So kills while under the influence of this are how you earn them. There's another item on there which also grants you kills when you're using it, which this ash item, which reduces their healing. Reduces their healing taken by 90% as well, I think.
Right.
But yeah, there's a couple of other items, but they're all purchased. Everything else is purchased with bloody coins, which to me implies, and there's a mountain of pet for them as well. And that to me implies that actually this is how you earn them. This is the one way that you earn them. And 2,500 of the timeless coins is really nothing. Like the reason I was thinking I could do it is because I looked at my shaman, which I just sort of been pottering around on the timeless isle for a day trying to find cool stuff, and I already had 1,250. Like I hadn't even made a concerted effort to grind them. They accumulate really fast on the PTR. So it's sort of, yeah, it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see. I don't think there's going to be any other ways to get them. So it's kind of this sort of artificial, weird PvP thing, and I'm really up for it.
And honestly, I like this. I think this also goes back to gating Ordos behind a legendary cloak. You know, there are certain prestige is so important, and this goes to the legendary argument of if does it need to be powerful or does it just need to look cool because it was hard to get. Mm-hmm. Prestige is such a strong motivator for players to do anything, and having these individual rewards that pretty much say to players, you want this item, guess what, you got to do something that's not really fun, and it's super hard. You got to be good at PvP. You got to pretty much nix your health down to nothing to get it, but you know what, if you want it, go work hard and you can do it. That will bring some prestige back to the game. If they allowed other currency to purchase this item, that would negate kind of that whole idea. And I like where this theoretically could be going.
Well, and I really actually like it for the world PvP aspect of it too. I mean, because it's obvious that they're trying to bring back maybe a little bit of flavor for world PvP, like what you were talking about. It was Gurubashi Arena, by the way.
That's right.
But yeah, bringing back that world PvP flavor and having people be able to turn it on and off, kind of, and I like that aspect of it. I'm kind of curious how it'll work on PvE and RP realms. Exactly how it's going to.
Well, wouldn't it work? I mean, that's the whole idea, is the fact that it turns it on for everyone out there. So whether you're on PvE or RP, you know, like if you're not on a PvP realm, it doesn't matter. You have optionally clicked the button the same way as flagging yourself on a PvE realm.
Exactly.
Wouldn't it be the same thing?
Right.
Yeah, precisely the same thing.
That's what I'm guessing. But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like how it would work as far as, will people actually buy into that, and will they, as soon as somebody flags, will they start killing it? Because
I think some will.
PvE and RP realms, I mean, you know, you have to you have to engage in order
Well,
to
here,
flag.
well, let's talk about this. Somebody fill me in and tell. I'm looking at this trinket right now, and I mean, looking at some of this, I mean, this looks kind of enticing, right? 5.6K. It's quite a boost.
Yeah, it's a good PvP trinket. It's
right.
Like
so,
actually, I was looking through the guy's stuff and I saw that trinket, and it was like, wow. Actually, because I was looking at my the full tyrannical gear on the character on the PTR and looked at that and thought I'm pretty sure because I'm pretty sure it's like 13.6K is the PvP power you get with the full tyrannical, and I think it was closer to 4. Me math, so like if you look at that value, 5.6K is quite a chunk. And it's a lot, so people are going to look at that. I mean, there's no stats on the trinket other than the PvP power, PvP resilience, but it's PvP power and PvP resilience, so your PvP resilience will increase. And the main thing about it is it's a 1 minute cooldown and it procs for 30 seconds, so
which is awesome.
30 seconds every minute you've got this big fat chunk of extra PvP power and extra PvP resilience. I am not a theory crafter, but I think people are going to want that.
Here's where you do run the problem, though, and this is going even against what I just said of locking it behind a gate, give it prestige, and make it exciting so that people have to go earn it. Now you're going to mess with the arena systems. Now you're going to mess with rated battlegrounds, and people are going to begin to cry that it's an unfair advantage to those that have been able to take the time to earn this trinket.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying that they they earned it, they should have it. If you want it, go earn it yourself. I kind of agree at the same standpoint, but just saying that with this PvP power trinket in there, suddenly people are going to immediately be screaming, I'm required to do this now, and I think that's going to cause some problems.
Well, but think about what it's going to do for the casual PvPer. I mean, for the casual PvPer, they're going to take a look at this trinket and say, you know what? If I'm starting out in PvP, I want this trinket with me before I even go in. So maybe this will be a way for PvEers to be able to go in and say, you know what? I'm going to try this, and I'm going to go have some fun with some world PvP type of situations, and then go in and do battlegrounds and rated battlegrounds and arena teams and all that kind of stuff. And I'll have this trinket because I'm not very comfortable with PvP quite yet. So.
Yeah, I guess there is an element. That's a reasonable point, and I think you're probably gonna, if it pulls you down to 10% of your health, if you guys are right with that, and I was totally wrong that it just pulls you down temporarily, you're gonna need to be quite good at PvP already.
Well, or at least lucky.
Points. There's 500 required, if I remember correctly, and that is off the top of my head. That could be wrong, but you need, if I remember correctly, for the trinket, you need 500 of these points. That's potentially 500 kills with this.
Does this trinket at all state that it's only usable out in the world?
No, it doesn't. And that was the thing, because I looked at the trinket tooltip thinking, I must be missing that. I'm going to read it again. And it didn't. Because everything else said only usable in the Timeless Isle, only usable in the Timeless Isle, only used, like there's this pot of ash, and there's another ash thing, because it's all fairly neat fiery stuff. And everything else, with the exception of the mount and the pet, was only usable in the Timeless Isle. And so it's like, this is interesting. And actually, the chat room is saying it's fewer coins, but actually I think it is less than 500. The mount is 500, excuse me, but it's not 20. It's more than that, but I forget how many exactly. But it's still there's going to be quite a commitment. I don't think this is going to be necessarily the thing for a novice PvPer who's brand new on it to go out and get. I think there's going to be something for someone who's a bit more experienced.
Well, it could be kind of fun.
You're going to need to know how to gank. That's what you're going to need to know how to do.
Right.
Sorry.
Are you watching your own show?
No. Stuff's just playing. Do you think? How do you think? Well, how do you think PvPers are gonna take to something like this? Like, is this gonna sort of like force them to get out and PvE a little bit? But do you think they'll be okay with it because it's kind of like in the vein of PvP and it kind of has like some crossover?
Hey Gary, remember on After Dark when you yelled at me because we still had video going in our ear?
It started for 2 fucking seconds, bro.
It's still going.
It's still going.
Oh, so the stream doesn't hear that.
Oh.
It's okay, we hear it, but it's okay. I don't think it definitely, you need to PvE to get the initial timeless coins, to get the thing that allows you to earn the coins that allow you to get the trinkets. However, once you have that initial timeless coin stage done, then that's the PvE bit over. And it's kind of, I don't think that PvPers are going to have a huge problem with it. If it was more coins, or if they nerf the coin drop rate dramatically, then perhaps. And again, there's no base stats on this trinket either. It's literally just this every 30 seconds thing. So, and again, I'm not a theory crafter, so maybe actually it's not that great, but it sounds good to me. PvP power is a really funny stat because it's really hard to quantify PvP power. Again, it's like looking at all the different gear that's out there. It's hard to sort of say, yes, this is categorically better than this, particularly if you're not really a theory crafter. But I'm so hesitant to say people aren't going to complain about it. PvP has complained about everything I know because I am one, and I complain about everything.
WoW players complain about everything. I don't think that there's anybody. I mean, there's right now. I mean, they're changing a bunch of stuff with classes in the PTR, and I know that I've been seeing lots of flames out there on all of the forums, and this is going to be one more little patch of flame out in the forum somewhere for somebody.
Yeah, there's going to be some poor soul who's got to deal with that.
Right. Probably lore.
Yeah, actually, probably is going to be lore, actually. Yeah, he's usually dealing with a lot of the flames on the forums at the minute.
Give it to the new guy.
Yeah, give it to the new guy. But right. Yeah, there's someone Trekkie just put in chat that it's people have to PvP to get their legendary cloak, which is a PvE item. So let the PvPers PvE to get the PvP, and it's not that if everything remains the same, it's not that much PvE. It's not the end of the world, and it's fun PvE. And on a PvP server, it's going to be a hotbed of PvP.
Liv's like trying to like control the rage now, and she's like patting it. She's like,
okay,
but it's fun and it's nice and it's pretty, and don't freak out. It's going to be totally okay.
And then her head explodes.
It's PvE that I like doing because it's killing rares, which I like doing, and it has the potential for world PvP, which I like doing. So it's content that I like. So I'm fine with it.
That's interesting. I thought you would have actually raged more about this. Shafter, what do you think? Do you think PvPers are going to freak out that they've got to do PvE to get this thing?
Again, it's going to be tough to say because with such power in this item, obviously PvPers are going to want it in their arsenal. And once it starts becoming a problem in arenas and rated battlegrounds, there's going to be that issue. I think the way for them to curve this is keep it in all its power and all its glory, but just add on the fact that it can only be used out in the world of Azeroth or wherever you are, wherever we end up going, because it's a trinket that's earned for world PvP. Why not apply it to, you can use it, but only in world PvP? That would be the way that they could calm down the issues that it's going to cause.
That would make me rage.
It's gonna make people rage no matter where you go with it. So you got to draw a line somewhere.
Like Shafter, you have a mad skills at pissing me off, man. You really
good.
He knows just how to push your buttons.
You do. You know how to push my buttons because they've given up on world PvP, bro. They're just like, nah, sod it. World PvP's in balance. We're not going to bother trying to balance with that. All the PvE gear is best of world PvP. Have fun with that, by the way. And no, this has got to be usable in proper actual PvP, which apparently isn't world PvP
but
anymore.
The problem is that it's gated behind a singular thing, whereas arena gear that gives you the PvP power is gated behind playing arena matches or doing RBGs. It makes sense. It's not just this one aspect that's a requirement. And again, like I'm not saying I'm defending the other side simply at this point because I don't disagree with the old philosophy of holy cow, that guy was really strong. How did he get so much PvP power? Oh, he got that trinket? Oh, well, no wonder he's so powerful because he did something really hard. If I want to be really powerful, I've got to do something hard. I'm okay with that concept. I truly am. I just know that they're not really going to be able to get away with it, so they're going to have to do something about it.
So do we? I don't want to cut off, but is there really some breaking news going on right now?
Yes,
there really is some breaking news going on.
I see things happening in chat, and I'm trying to okay, let's see. Gamasutra on Twitter. Oh, it's not on their site.
It's a certain Gamasutra on Twitter are asserting that Activision Blizzard have broken off from Vivendi in an $8.2 billion deal. Basically, there was this thing where in the contract which they had with the buyout, with the merger, that Vivendi could make a cash grab. and take a huge chunk. Is that something like
we covered it this week, but wow. Okay, so Gama
So
Sutra is saying
apparently-
Activision Blizzard breaks off from Vivendi in an $8.2 billion deal. Just tweeted, let's see, it's 9:35 p.m. So like 10 minutes ago that just hit.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's up on
Yeah.
their site as well.
Yeah, I'm
And
gonna let's see. So,
Kotick and Kelly have personally contributed a combined $100 million towards the deal. Personally.
got out. So Activision Blizzard has broken off from media conglomerate Vivendi to strike out on its own as an independent, albeit a video game publisher. In a deal worth $8.2 billion. The company announced at midnight Eastern on Friday. The company will be buying back shares totaling $5.83 billion, combined with share purchases totaling $2.34 billion from an independent investor group led by Activision CEO Bobby Kotick and Chairman Brian Kelly. The majority of the company's shares will be owned by the public after the transaction is complete. It's a major move for Activision Blizzard, a company that was forged in a late 2007 deal with Blizzard and Vivendi Games. Now, let's see. Kotick and Kelly personally contributed a combined $100 million towards the deal. Kotick said in a statement that he expects the deal to benefit both Activision Blizzard and its shareholders, including Vivendi, which will retain 12% of total shares. There's a quote. He said, "We should emerge even stronger, an independent company with a best-in-class franchise portfolio," said Kotick. The transactions announced today will allow us to take advantage of attractive financing markets while still retaining more than $3 billion in cash on hand to preserve financial stability. We are grateful for Vivendi's partnership through this period, and we look forward to the continued support. Good riddance. I added that in myself. Ahead of a conference call tomorrow morning, Activision Blizzard announced preliminary second quarter revenues of around $1.05 billion and earnings per share of 28 cents. For a full year, Activision Blizzard expects to report $4.31 billion in revenue, up from a previous forecast of $4.22 billion. Big news. I mean, we covered.
Gary, don't stop reading before the very last line of that article.
Activision Blizzard added that World of Warcraft. Thank you. Activision Blizzard added that World of Warcraft subscriptions now stand at 7.7 million worldwide. That is down
600K drop.
600,000 player drop worldwide.
What a great place to sneak that in.
Sneak that in.
Right.
I know, because I was done. I was like, I was out.
Move. You were done. You were like, I'm out of here. And I just read that. I was like, what? That was like a little. Oh, by the way, there's a.
Right.
You didn't notice. Yeah,
Very interesting. Down another 600,000. But they've.
I'm surprised it's not more, actually. I'm genuinely surprised it's not more than that. I was kind of expecting. This is the time. It's actually dead now. Definitely dead. Categorically.
Yeah.
Officially, it is an ex-MMORPG. It is pushing up the daisies. It has ceased to be this Warcraft.
It's still the largest MMO out there, but it's dead. It's dead.
But what was the drop? What was the drop the previous quarter before that?
1.3 million.
1.3 mil.
It was 1.3 million drop.
Much less giant drop. I'm surprised it's not a bigger drop, actually.
Can somebody put together a graph and start putting the trend line together, though? Because I'm feeling like it's now quarter after quarter. It's
dropping for sure. It's dropping. There are actually. I'm not going to try and pull it up now because I have the loudest keyboard in Christendom. But there is a site called mmodata.net which actually has tabulated graphs of the rise and fall of World of Warcraft subscriptions over the years. Whereas obviously peaking in Wrath of the Lich King at I think it's a shade over 12 million.
Yeah.
And it's it is definitely in a sort of steady decline now, but they have obviously arrested the rate of decline. So whatever they've done, they've lost fewer subs now than they did last quarter.
So this shows. So here we go. The going up, holding steady. This is the green. World of Warcraft Global. See it coming down here, and now we are down to around here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this. Let me. So I'll pull this.
Is that
where
right?
are those? What year or what expansion are those peaks at?
See if I can't fit it.
That's gonna be Wrath. That's gonna be Wrath of the Lich King.
Wrath was 12 12 mil. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, now you can see. So here's 7. There's 8. So we're down to
It's gonna be,
around
just below 8.
here.
I was actually genuinely expecting a bigger drop than that this quarter.
Well, and even the Blizzard, some of the devs and stuff like that, when they were going around, they were talking about actually expecting a loss of subscriptions this next quarter, and so I don't think that this is a surprise for them either, at all.
No. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there was anyone who was thinking, particularly at this point, and it sounds apologist to say so, but particularly at this point in an expansion cycle where we're drawing towards the close of an expansion, this is not we've just had 5.3, which wasn't a raid patch. We've got 5.4 coming, then maybe that will bump up because it's a new raid slightly. And I mean, they keep saying that they're bleeding the most subs from Asia. I mean, I would love it if they actually released some hard numbers to say, right, here's our subscriber base in the West, and here's our subscriber base in Asia, and look, you can see where they're going from. Like they've all gone from there, and actually this side is much more steady.
Well,
why does that really matter, though? Why does that really matter so much?
I think it's important to the player base to understand that. That's my personal opinion. I don't know,
And for the stockholders too. I think that it would be important to note exactly what's happening in the Western markets versus the Asian markets, because they are two different. They pay differently. They pay very differently, and so it's kind of. It would be nice for everybody to kind of be able to get a hold on those numbers and be able to maybe forecast it a little bit better as far as what that means for the game down the road.
And also,
and that's sort of what I was getting at.
Sorry.
I wanted to see this trend line and see if we could build this out now, because now what's a little bit more alarming to me is the fact that they pushed back Titan so far, because now we've got now to 2016. So if somewhere in this trend line continues from now till then, where are we at? Somewhere like, let's just throw a dart at the wall and say mid 2016. It'd be interesting to kind of see where that forecasts out to with the current trend. If it continues to drop
at this rate, I don't think that the quarter in which 6.0 launches will see such a huge drop. I think trying to remember the just pre-Miss, did Mists of Pandaria cause a small hike in subs?
Yes,
when it came out, I seem to recall that it did. They did sort of go whoop a bit and then drop back down again.
Would this be Mists of Pandaria?
No, that's going to be Kata.
That's Kata. So this does not show any. This does not show any uptick.
It's too large a scale, I would imagine, because we're looking at huge chunks there. But I do think that there was either a sort of hold steady or a slight uptick in numbers when Mists of Pandaria was launched.
The graphs before Mists of Pandaria.
Sure, but does that matter if it's only you're looking at it from a quarter? I mean, this is on a quarter by quarter basis, or what is this?
I would imagine
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, but they're quite small. There's not very big increments there.
So sure. So I mean, if the expansion blips up for a month, but within 3 months it drops back down. I mean, I think that's fair just to look at it as the next expansion is not really going to spike it. Probably to the point
it back up to Wrath.
No,
never. I mean, this is an old game. At the end of the day, you've got to look at it. This is an old game. There's going to be a decline. I don't think it's realistic to expect it to maintain a sort of 10 million sub thing for the rest of eternity. I think with the Asian market stuff, particularly where they're bringing in this specific fix with the purchasable items of the in-game store, at quite a PR risk to their established player base, they ought to be splitting it out so that people can understand why they're doing it a bit more. People just see these numbers and think of the whole worldwide level there.
So I don't know how accurate these are, but it looks like they are trying to break that out here, because this says WoW West SS, WoW West here, which is this line here. So it looks like it's stopped. It's stopped reporting quite a while ago.
Yeah, but actually that's because Blizzard are talking about it.
Yeah, that's all the way back in 2010. So at one point they were trying to. So if this is accurate, what are they creeping up on? Is this RuneScape or no? That's WoW. I don't even know what that is. That's
probably the Asian market WoW, or a different grouping of WoW. I don't know. Europe, God knows. But there's no denying that it's on a decline. It's actually a slower decline than I had anticipated. Sub losses of between 750,000 and 1 million. In my head, that was the number I was expecting for this quarter. So it's actually better than I had expected.
Which again, in its life cycle, isn't I would say extremely alarming because it's got to be on a downtrend. I think it's sort of natural. What is more alarming to me is the pushback of Titan now, because that year over year, quarter after quarter after quarter,
But-
if they average out to somewhere like in the 700,000-800,000 or million range, like quarter over quarter over quarter, like they've lost a lot of people by the time they get that next game out, man. That's a lot of people.
What happens when Titan is built on a subscription model, though? And this is, again, I strongly just believe that it got pushed back because it got pushed back because they're going to change it to be free to play. What happens then when they release that game and it's a model that it's an outdated model that no one will invest in anymore?
Well,
I'm not. Yeah, whatever reasons they're doing it is. I'm just saying, the way it looks in the trend line, it's alarming because now you've got to try and entice a lot more people back that you didn't have your hands around as far as like subscribers where you had a direct contact with them. I mean, they can do email marketing and marketing all that, but I agree with you. If they realized that like they needed to switch the model up because the game was just going to completely, it's just the wrong
no one's
time.
doing submodels anymore. Like it's like one of what is. Wait, is there even Final Fantasy's doing a sub, right?
They're doing a sub, yeah.
Realm Reborn, they're doing a sub. But like that's there's really not many. The sub model is a dying model in itself, and WoW is the pioneer of that model. I mean, again, it sounds apologist. There's still 7.7 million people playing the game. That's a ton of people.
Oh no, that's a ton of people. For the players, there's still people to play, and it's still the number one top dog. It's not like it's dead by any means, stretch of the means. No. But I gotta say, like if I'm sitting on the
700,000 a quarter. How long is it going to take for them to drop 7.7 million subs at a rate of 700,000 per quarter? I can't do this math in my head, so I'm going to get.
That'd be like 2.5 years or so. I mean, if it's 700,000 per quarter, and we're at 7.7 million, so that'd be under 3 years. If we go along that rate, it's not going to go along that rate though, because it's always going to be percentages of whatever's going on. So
yeah.
But again, if you're an investor, you're not happy. You're not happy watching 700,000 or 1 million people leave every quarter and then be saying like, "Hey guys, where's that new game? Hey guys, thought that game was coming along and you guys were going to scoop all those people you've been telling us about that we're going to keep everybody and they're leaving. And I know there's still a lot of people playing your game, but 1 million people in a quarter, it's a lot of money."
Yep. Well, and that's why you're seeing the XP flasks, for the Asian market and all this stuff kind of built for those guys because they need to build back that audience because free-to-play games and all those other the other games out there are taking away from this subscription-based. Well, it's not subscription over there; it's different, but it is a subscription model still in Asia, and that it doesn't work as well. And
that's probably why. And again, that's probably why you're seeing all this stuff come in, right? Because if they can drop subs but still increase revenue back into it, with losing, that, then hey, it's still somewhat of a win-win if the bottom line is, hey, we've lost subscribers, but we figured out how to monetize better, and we're still
and also to get people back. Like every MMO player out there will have played World of Warcraft at some point,
right?
And if World of Warcraft goes free to play, is there going to be a massive return of people going, "Oh, you don't have to pay for it now. I'm back. I'm in." And like, at what point, if they do that, at what point will they do that? Like, how far down does it have to drop before it becomes non-profitable and they think?
Oh, maybe that's. I mean, we talked about how fast do you think they'll fast track or implement the old cash shop system? Maybe it'll be sooner than we think, and definitely not even wait for that 2016 mark. Maybe we're going to see it in the next 6 to 12 months, and they just kind of flip the switch and say, "Hey, I don't think I think it's at least a year out."
I don't think it's time to call the end of days within the next 6 to 12 months on the basis of a 600,000 subscriber drop down to only 7.7 million subscribers. Only 7.7 million subscribers. I feel the need to do only again. There's still a lot of subscribers. Like that's $15. How much is it? Like how much does it cost in the US? $15 a month.
You're really gonna try your math again? Are you really going to try and do math again?
No, Jesus. I was going to say, it's $15 a month times by 7.7 million people. I'm not stupid. I know
it's like your third attempt.
I've got a calculator now. I'm feeling a little bit brave. I've got a calculator.
Is it a scientific calculator?
No.
Not gonna have I'm going to laugh when it doesn't have enough zeros or
it has
decimal
enough zeros. It was able to calculate that it's 2 3/4 years that it was going to take to drop the subs. The 7.7 million.
You need another. You need another cup of coffee.
Yeah, that is not going to have enough zeros. That is not going to have enough spaces. There's no way.
I did divide by 15.
All right, while you're figuring that out, I want to tell you guys about Squarespace. So all you got to do is go over to Squarespace. You guys have a website? You do have a website. It's probably not as good as a Squarespace website. I'm going to kind of bet you it's not. You guys got to check out Squarespace. It's such a great service. I mean, there's no competition out there. Like if you guys have a guild or you need a personal website, a guild website, or maybe you sell an item, this is where you go. My wife's actually building out a website and she asked me what she should build it on. And this is the first place I told her to go. I was like, just go to Squarespace because it is so super easy. She knows nothing about creating websites and it's anyone can do it. It's great. All you do is go over to squarespace.com, sign up, make an account, and there's no HTML coding involved. If you don't know how to code, that's completely fine. If you do know how to code, you're completely good there as well because they have all these like hooks in the back end where you can really dig in deep into the code and kind of do a lot of really cool stuff. But if you don't, like I said, yes.
Gavin's daddy 1912 said in chat that he actually built a Squarespace website for his guild from your recommendation.
Awesome, thank you, sir. See, what is is it live? Ask him if the site's live.
Gavin, is your site live? We'll try and bring it up.
He's in the chat room. I don't see why he wouldn't be able to hear.
Hey.
Also, that we have to remember that our chat room doesn't allow links, which is going to make it more difficult.
That's true. I'm just gonna
as the deleted link shows up.
Plus, he could have pictures of porn on his guild website for all I know, so I probably don't want to bring that up. But
right.
Look, like check this out, right? I know you're looking at something that's for a restaurant and a menu, but just check out, like this is built in. Check out how this cool animation works. And like you can just change out this back image completely and all this text really simply, right? Watch when I scroll down. Watch what happens to the background. Do you see how it's moving in? See how it's moving independently of the foreground boxes and text and things like that? That's all built in. Like you don't even have to know how to do that kind of stuff. You just pick this template, start changing stuff, and you've got like crazy cool animated like features and just functionality like that. That took some programmer who's much smarter than I am to code that. This stuff looks great. You can't do this stuff. I can't. Look, it's got another one down here like that. Can you really tell what that's doing on the site? Because live it looks awesome. Like I think you can tell. But basically, what it's doing is that background image is like a separate layer from the front of that stuff, and they move independently. It looks really cool.
It's parallaxing.
Yes, it is parallaxing. Thank you. That is the proper terminology for it. That's the kind of cool stuff. I'm telling you, Squarespace is no joke. Go check it out. You can get your domain there. You get your template. You get it all set up. Go get some cool images. Change out some text. You got an awesome website going. And even your hosting. Hosting is all taken care of by Squarespace, part of the monthly package. It's like super cheap. Check it out today. Want to save you guys 10%? All you got to do is use the offer code GAMEBREAKER with the number 7, GAMEBREAKER7. Go over to squarespace.com today and check it out. Try it out. They got a free trial as well. You can get on there as a free trial and just, mess around and kind of see what the functionality is like. So go. Don't forget to use offer code GAMEBREAKER7. All right, let's do some viewer questions. If you guys have viewer questions for the game, the Legendary Crew, make sure to send them to submit@gamebreaker.tv. That is the email address you can send them to. And if you have video questions, we love video questions. Love the video questions. So record yourself on YouTube and shoot us the link to submit at gamebreaker.tv, and we will post it on the air. So we've got a video question this week. We have a video question this week. So this is from Paul from Norway. His audio is a little bit quiet. I'm going to ask everyone in the chat room, just please keep it down. Everybody needs to listen. Shh. Paul from Norway.
Hello, Gamebreaker. I would like to use this video to voice my opinion regarding a video question you received for your latest episode of Legendary, episode 135, where you were asked about PvP gear. First off, I would like to say that I concur with Pat's point about having introductory gear other than PvE gear. Secondly, I can see why Olivia would not want more gear levels for PvP, and I concur, to a certain degree. As she said, PvP gear levels needs to be mushed together, and I think the same goes for PvE gear. We all know WoW is a very gear dependent game, and I for one hate that. Of course, there should be some sort of a gaming process in place, and you should increase in power over time as you acquire more gear. But it is too much of a gap between a fresh level 90 and a fully geared one. I'm not saying you should be able to take on whoever when you first have dinged, but you need to feel like you have a chance, or can contribute in team fights at least. However, I think there is room for one more tier of PvP gear, reputation gear. I know PvPers hate PvE, but one suggestion I have is to bring back the old factions from Warzone Gulch, Arathi Basin, Alterac Valley, and update their rewards. As well, Blizzard could bring a faction with rewards to Gilneas, Twin Peaks, Eye of the Storm, etc. And vendors would be spread throughout the world. Or the style from the Burning Crusade could come back, with gear obtainable through PvE factions. That would at least give PvEers and those who leveled through questing a fair shot at PvP. The third and last suggestion I have is to bring in an entirely new PvP faction, where you could obtain some sort of PvP gear. Reputation would come from PvP related dailies, such as winning a specific battleground that day, a random one every day, so that Monday would not always be Warzone Gulch Day. And you can have weeklies as well, win one of every battleground. You could also have quests related to arenas or rated battlegrounds. Or gain reputation by simply killing players from the opposed faction, and perhaps limit that to world PvP kills only. Hopefully, all of the above. So, what do you think of my suggestions? I would like to end this by saying that I am a huge fan of Legendary and GameBreaker TV in general. Keep up the great work we all love so much. Keep voicing your opinions and never sell out. Best regards, Paul from Norway.
All right, little bit long, little longer than we like to
this
take.
Was actually,
but
he actually sent us 2 videos, and this was the short one.
okay,
Wow.
Try and keep it a little bit shorter, but and more of a response to the question. But good. I'm gonna break it down. Thank you for sending it in, Paul. So we wanted to play it. So we encourage you guys to send in video questions. Try and keep. And I like that he scripted it actually and kind of like got his thoughts collected, because who knows, we would have been here for probably like 19 minutes and 40 seconds. But
the long one was quite 10 and 11 minutes, I think.
Wow.
Thank you for sending. Wow. Thank you for sending
so much
it in.
for sending it in. It was actually like he made some interesting points. I did watch both of them.
Maybe we can condense a little bit
points.
though. A little chop and condense next time. So hopefully, if you guys send in video questions, like to submit at GameBreaker.tv, 30 seconds.
Yeah, shoot for about 30
seconds. To 60. All right. So more of a response to the question. He's talking about PvE or PvP gear in PvE. He's talking about PvP rep gear and earning money from doing PvP. What do you guys think of his suggestions?
I
Liv,
think
or Shaftnet, sure.
Whatever, dude.
Jumped on it first. What do you want? I think. All right. So the thing that stuck out to me is he talked about bringing back battleground reps for people to sit in and earn. And I think again, with the way that the game went, a lot of people started to complain that the gear was locked away behind really hard reps to obtain, and so Blizzard ended up normalizing it and kind of taking away that gear and taking that gear out of it. But the unbreakable wall, no, I forget what the hammer was for Arathi Basin, but like there were staple items in there that people remember using in PvP, and I think that was key. Again, the prestige of the gear is more important than the stats of the gear. So I think rep gear could theoretically come back, and why not attach it as cosmetic that you can transmog your current gear to. That way, it's not a requirement. You don't feel like you have to grind out to get that really good item because it's locked away behind the rep, but you do feel like you've earned something, that you can wear, an entire Arathi Basin or Alterac Valley outfit and kind of show off that you earned that prestige.
Or what you could do is you could do kind of like what they're doing right now with raids, where you can just select a rep to grind, which would be kind of a cool way to do it. That way you don't necessarily have to fight one particular battleground to do it. You could just select rep or whatever.
But then what's the point? What's the point of that?
Because you're still grinding rep.
You're grinding rep though, but like, and there needs to, and this is I hated the way that rep taverns worked, in all honesty, back in the day. But like, if you're grinding rep shouldn't just be I'm gonna go grind rep. It should be, if I'm trying to earn Alterac Valley gear or suits or equipment, I should have to do Alterac Valley. I shouldn't be able to get away and do Arathi Basin and get or Alterac Valley rep. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't make sense. But
Well, I just meant it with his last suggestion of there being a new rep or something like that, where it was kind of more of a generic type of rep. I mean, obviously those battlegrounds, if it's that specific rep, you don't want to take it out of that battleground and say, oh yeah, you could just earn that anywhere. Whatever. Who cares? But first of all, I want to say to Paul, was it Paul? Yes, from Norway. Tusen Talk for agreeing with me that that introductory gear needs to be better. There we go. Jeg snakker ikke norsk, but thank you. That's all I know how to say.
You've made a friend. A friend.
That's all I know how to say.
I don't know how to say anything in Norwegian. But yeah, I'm glad that you agree with me on the item squish that needs to happen, Paul. I think actually some of the things that you talked about, where you're sort of thinking of different ways to gain PvP gear, could be a good answer to increasing level 90 power up to meet. I agree that a freshly dinged 90 shouldn't be able to take someone on who spent ages and ages finding out PvP gear. But I also think that there's a way too big a gap at the moment, and they did this last expansion too. And it happens again and again that there's a really big gap between a fresh max level and a late max level. That's just how it works. I think that's definitely a good point, and maybe there's other or alternate ways to earn gear. And PvP has complained constantly about not earning gold from Battlegrounds, so I don't see why they shouldn't earn gold from Battlegrounds, with the exception of botting, because bots, you've all noticed bots happen in Battlegrounds. So I think there's definitely some good ideas in there. And I'm slightly disappointed that you didn't completely agree with me, though. I'm cool, man. I'm cool. Thank you for sending it in. There was a lot of effort that went into that video, so thank you very much.
And there's a lot of effort that's going into this next question as well, because on text it's about 11 minutes long. So apparently
Gary's read it.
The questions this week are going to be individually sponsored. And this week's question is sponsored by Super Mega Awesome Time, which we started playing World of Warcraft. Mike Shafton and I. Here's a little sample.
All right.
Give me loots.
All right, I'm here. Don't worry. Gary, look out! I'm here.
Look out!
All right. Kitty cat.
Look out for what? There's
I'm a kitty cat.
Nothing. They're in the starting zone.
There's a cat.
I can't like chant that song.
I'm a kitty cat
anymore.
And I
What
found
about
something
backpedal?
meow
What
meow
about play the
meow.
game?
No? Am I the only one who's heard of that internet video?
I'm trying to listen to the damn show. Shut up, everybody. Oh, look at you killed that son of a bitch. You're talking over people talking. Give me a pill.
How could we?
All right. Oh, kitty cat. Oh, kitty cat. Look at you. You got like mad skills. You're like
Mad
OP.
Deeps over here.
Mad Deeps
A whole
level.
18.7.
What level are you? Oh my lordy. We're like pro.
Done. It's like I do this for a living.
PvEers.
Blizzard, hire me to be on your rating secret super awesome testing team.
Trek you coming after you, bro. Where you going? Where you going, cat? Yeah.
Going down.
All right, I got
going
pelts.
Teabag that cat.
I got pelts.
Teabag that cat for everything he did.
Do
yeah.
it.
What?
Do
We're
it.
better than you. We're better than you. What? What? All right.
I'm going through the question mark. All right, that it is super mega awesome time. Go over to GameBreaker.tv. You can watch those there, or go over to youtube.com/super mega awesome time. New episode every day. We just started playing World of Warcraft. Episode 1 went up, I think, today or yesterday. I don't know. Yesterday, today, something like that. But World of Warcraft has just begun. All right, so this question is about 18 minutes long.
It's important to stay hydrated.
Who's this from? Karen Mills. Karen Mills. We're gonna cut off a couple digits for next week. All right.
Holy book.
Bind on account items are really bind on server items, as they can only be accessed by the characters on the server where the item was purchased or assigned. Blizzard has cross-realm battlegrounds, cross-realm raid finders, and dungeons, and cross-realm starting areas. So why can't they make cross-realm bank tab? Make a cross-realm bank tab. It could be similar to the way Dropbox works. Any character on the server on your account could put things in there, and any character on any server on your account could remove things, the things they need. Would it really be that difficult to implement this? Thanks for your thoughts. And who wants to take it? All right, moving on.
Someone who knows how to I mean, I don't see why they can't do this. Like, obviously, it's a programming thing. Like, it's obviously some kind of, there's a checkbox on the gunship. Somewhere on gunship, there is a thing that will need to be changed to allow them to do this. But I think this is what I'm kind of hoping will happen with virtual realms. I'm thinking like that with virtual realms, because you have got the cross-realm auction house. And that seems to me to be the first step in allowing this sort of transferring through these realms to become an easier thing, that there's a technology, that we have the technology, we can rebuild it, like it's coming now, and they're there, and I'm hoping that that will actually work. And it would be really good to just have, like, I'd also love like a starting bank, so that you could like have your main has a certain pot of gold, and whenever you start a character, you can just elect to give that character 10 gold, just to be going along with, on any server. And if they were able to implement that somehow with virtual realms and using that technology which they're using to combine the auction houses, and obviously things like your guild bank, you can have cross-realm guild with virtual realms.
What about a cross-realm hat rack? You probably need a cross-realm hat rack.
Yeah, for all my cross-realm hats.
Yes,
I paid $15 for a time.
Well, that's what I thought. The whatchamacallit, the vault. What is that called? I can't remember.
Void storage.
Yeah, void storage. That's what I always imagined void storage would kind of maybe turn into or morph into at some point, would be kind of this cross-realm place to store stuff and just drag it out whenever you have a character in need of certain items. I think that would be really cool. But again, it's a programming issue, and it keeps on creeping up, and I know that Ghostcrawler's been talking about it over the last 4, 5, 6, 8 years, whatever it is, and talking about how much of a problem it is to be able to do that stuff. So, yeah, G Street. That's right. So I know that he's talked about, and other devs as well have talked about the impossibility of that right now, and it's just I don't think it's really on their radar necessarily.
Yeah, maybe it will be. Maybe it is a case with virtual realms that it will become something that's possible.
Maybe, yeah.
Chafin doesn't care. Moving on.
Nothing to say.
I'm sorry.
Two-part question from Jake Mino or Meno. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, but Jake, I apologize. Two-part question. 1. What 5-man is your least favorite from the whole game? Personally, my least favorites are Nomar and Mara. Number 2, with much speculation on the next expansion being Burning Legion themed, do you see an Outland revamp in the future similar to the revamp of Kalimdor and the Eastern Kingdoms in Kata, or do you see a whole new continent or world instead? Long live Gamebreaker.
Which I didn't put on the end of the actual quote card for some reason.
You didn't put that in there.
Stupid of me. No, for some reason. I should point out with the quote card that the art was sent to us by Noxie in chat. Sent us a very short notice lore art that she drew herself at about 3:30 this morning my time.
What do you think, Liv?
I think my least favorite 5-man in the whole game. That is a tricky question. I am going to say, right now, if you are asking me this question today, right now my least favorite 5-man in the entire game is Temple of the Jade freaking Serpent. Which is one of the 2 leveling dungeons that you get between 85 and 87 in Mists of Pandaria. That expletive deleted dungeon. I'm so over that place. I'm so over that place. It's not even funny. As for the second part of the question, I am going to say that I think that there could be an Outland revamp, because that's kind of like the Burning Legion. There's a whole thing going on out there, and my God, Outland could do with a revamp. Like, my goodness me, that place, like, you just sort of go out to there and everyone's just like, wow, I just got a dungeon through here. This is the worst. Yeah. It could definitely handle a revamp.
Well, am I the only one that really does still enjoy Outland? And it's just nostalgia factor.
It's just you. It is just you, like Chapman. No one else. There's 7,6,999,999 people who are like, stop this, I'm doing dungeons. And then there's you, who's like, I love it.
Right. Well, it is kind of very 1987-ish, I think. I mean, it just kind of looks that way. You go out there and you go, well, this doesn't look quite right. This doesn't quite fit in anymore. It looks old. It really does. So, I mean, it could definitely use a boost. and hopefully they go that way. I mean, that'd be a good way to freshen it up. For the least favorite dungeon, 5-man dungeon, any of the level 50 dungeons, they're horrible.
Oh, like Diamond Black. Oh my God, Blackrock Depths. Why didn't I say Blackrock Depths?
Blackrock Depths.
God.
So horrible. So yeah, like the level 50 leveling stuff.
You guys can't hate on those. They're so good.
Oh, what?
They're so good.
I mean, I agree. I agree. Like, I think I hated them back in the day, but now that I'm like, it's definitely rose tinted glasses. I look back on it though, and I look at it. It was in like especially Blackrock Depths. That's the one dungeon that I remember that had heart and had like
it
reasoning.
had a heart. Like this, like this completely subjective, emotional. That's the crap one from Captain Planet.
It had the most reasoning behind it. You know, I've done a lot of research on some of the dungeons, and they get more exciting the more you read on them. You know, like look at Dead Mines. A lot of people look at Dead Mines as just going in and killing Van Cleef, but it's not. There's so much story behind that.
Right.
And I think out of all of them, Blackrock Depths was one of the ones that had the most amount of like story and exploration. And I get it, like it was this giant, enormous dungeon that like you never fully cleared because it just took ages and you would lose groups and it sucked. But like for the story that was there and for what it was, like for what it was in the world, I really liked it.
When I'm trying to level, however, I'm not necessarily looking for story. You know what I mean? When I'm trying to level up a new character or whatever, I hit level 50 and I go, oh man, BRD.
Beat Shaftnet with a wet noodle because he cares about all the shit that they wrote about the game that you guys are just like, I'm just going to click through this because I just need a shiny thing. Shiny, shiny, shiny. I'm going to defend Shaftnet to the death on this one.
I need to get to 90 so the game can start.
You know what's funny about... Well, actually, it was funny about...
Okay, all right. Oh, hang on. I need to... No, hang on. I need to get to 90 so the game can start. Then why in the world would they take the time to revamp Outlands if you're not going to take the time? Because the game doesn't exist from 60
it's going to be the level 95 content.
Then what happens to 60 to 70? They've got to come up with content that supplements that time.
They delete it. Somebody hits the delete key.
It's not going to happen.
They're going to do what they did with Kata, and they're going to drop some new zones in. They're going to be like, suddenly it's going to go back to whoever said that in chat. It's going to be further Outland.
Yeah, it's the outer Outlands.
Oh, look, some other rocks.
Yeah,
some other rocks cropped up around the edges. Look.
The outer Outlands are over here somewhere, and then you have the level.
Yeah, because that stuff makes just the best reasoning and sense.
There's some new islands.
They don't care, Shafted. They don't care about this stuff at all. They just could care less.
Don't care. Give me cool stuff.
I'm with you, Shaftnet. I'm with you. I read.
I don't know. And like I said, I think the thing with revamping Outlands, it's not something that can happen. You have that. You have to have those questing experiences in there. And I think if you look at what happened with Cataclysm, the amount of time that they took to revamp that, and granted, I get it, Azeroth is a lot bigger than just 10 levels in Outlands, but I don't think right now Blizzard's going to take the time to revamp something old and make it a new experience for those levels. Instead, they're going to just simply craft a new area, the outer islands, or a brand new area that the Burning Legion's going to be causing a problem in, and that's how we're going to see with this.
Mike Shaftnet, follow him on the Twitter at Mike Shaftnet.
Let's call this episode Subliminal Trains.
There's like a small portion of the GameBreaker community who gets exactly what I'm doing. I encourage you all to figure it out. It's kind of a very inside joke tonight, but it's fun. Mike Shaft. I know. Very small. It's so inside. I'm not even going to reference it. Mike Shaftnet. Follow him on Twitter at Mike Shaftnet. Go over to Twitter. Make sure to watch Waypoint and super mega awesome time right here on GameBreaker.tv. Pat Crane, follow him on Twitter. Pat Crane, go over to converttoraid.com and make sure to listen to his podcast, Convert to Raid, over there every single week as well, right here on Legendary. And Olivia D. Grace, follow her on Twitter. I got to change your bottom thing to have your Twitter. But it's easy. It's Olivia D. Grace. At Olivia D. Grace. And of course,
how do I spell D?
D.
How do you spell D?
With a D.
With a D.
Oh, okay.
Choo choo train.
That's random.
It's really not. Follow me at Gary Gannon, follow GameBreaker TV, GameBreaker TV, and go over to our brand new website. We launched a new website called CubeNation.tv, and it's all about Cube World. So if you guys are playing Cube World or you're interested in it, you want to check it out, go over. Please, please, please. If you have the time, go check it out. Check it out. Check it out. CubeNation.tv. That's it. It's Legendary Thursday night, 8 o'clock PST. When we do the show live, we'll be back next week, next Thursday, as we are every single week. Thanks you guys so much. Thanks you guys. Thanks you guys for so much for watching this show.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you next time.
See ya next Thursday at the 8 PCTs.
We have to stop.